Hey guys, I'm back. I know it's been so long since my last upload. I'm totally guilty of missing the whole Christmas decorating season, and I know some of you were waiting for those videos. But as you've probably already seen from the title, I have a really good reason. I got pregnant! Which is something I've been waiting for years. And since this is my first video back, I just didn't want to announce my pregnancy, but I wanted to share a little bit about my journey and things that I believe helped me to finally conceive naturally after years of trying. Now, if you're my subscriber, don't worry, this channel will not be turning into baby-related content. It will still be all about home decor, but I really wanted to share my story because if it helps even just one person, I will feel like it was worth making this video, because I know this is a very sensitive topic and infertility is unfortunately a huge challenge for so many people today. So to give you a little context, I'm currently 37 years old, and if everything goes well, I will have a baby when I'm already 38. My husband and I have been together for 17 years, so I was just 21 when we started dating. And I would say up until I was about 30, I didn't even want to think about kids. Honestly, I was never one of those people who found babies cute or wanted to spend time with them. To be fully honest, I just didn't like kids, and I always thought in my mind that once you have kids, your life is over. I know that sounds ridiculous now, but back then that's just how I truly felt. For comparison, I was always obsessed with animals. I absolutely love cats and dogs and all the animals, and I always wanted to have them. So I was super affectionate toward animals, but completely indifferent to babies and kids. Another thing is that my husband and I have pretty big age difference, so he already had twin daughters from previous marriage when he was very young. So by the time we met, they were already teenagers, and he didn't feel the need to have more kids, and I simply didn't want any. But everything started to change slowly after I turned 30. I started to think about it and just asking myself, do I really want to go through my whole life without kids? And will I regret it at the end of my life if I never experience motherhood? And at some point I just had to be honest with myself, and the answer was yes, I would regret it if I didn't. And I remember my mom always told me, Oksana, it doesn't matter if you like kids or not. When you have your own, you will love them more than anything. So about 7 years ago, I started to take in steps to prepare for this. I wasn't fully ready to get pregnant, so I took it very slow. First, of course, we stopped using any protection and we both did all the necessary tests. Everything looked good, we both were healthy, but deep down, I had a gut feeling that it wouldn't be easy for me to get pregnant. I just knew on a subconscious level that I had some blockages and fears regarding having children. So at the time I decided just go with the flow, not to stress about it, and let it happen whenever it was meant to. But as you can probably guess, time kept passing and nothing was happening. So by the time I was around 34, 35, so already like 5 years later, I started to really stress out about it, because I knew that 35 was a really important milestone for women's fertility, when every passing year already significantly reduces the chances to get pregnant. So at that point we repeated all the tests, and once again everything came back normal, no health issues at all. And that's when we decided to start actively trying. I began tracking my ovulation with ovulation tests and timing everything around my good days. And by then I can say that I already was not only committing to having a baby, but I was already mentally and emotionally ready, and I truly wanted it. So after 2 years of actively trying, I was exhausted. Honestly, it was really hard emotionally. So many tears, stress, and anxiety. And I realized my only option left was IVF. But as you know, it's crazy expensive in this country. And if you don't have an extra $20,000 to $40,000, you're basically out of luck. And even then, there is no guarantee it will work. And last summer, I remember it was June, I hit a really low point in my life. I was depressed, exhausted, and completely drained from thinking about this all the time. I remember one evening my bestie and I went out to dinner at a beautiful place and she took a picture of me. And when I looked at the picture, I just couldn't recognize myself because I realized for the first time that I have gained weight, which was something new for me because I've been super skinny my whole life. And overall, I just didn't look like me. I looked so worn out and like with no spark in my eyes. That really hit me. With all the stress, I know I've been eating a lot of unhealthy food lately and not regularly, plus metabolism naturally slows down after 35. So I guess it didn't help as well. And that photo was a turning point for me. So I decided to give myself a complete reset, putting our active trying on pause and just focusing on my mental and physical health instead. And after I started doing all the things that I'm about to share with you, completely changing my diet and lifestyle, I got pregnant in just 3 months for the first time in my life. So let's go through everything step by step. So the first thing I did was start keeping a food diary, and I used the application called Fat Secret, but honestly it doesn't matter which app or method you use. The main goal is to get a clear picture of what and how much you are eating and whether you're getting enough of all the essential nutrients. I always thought that I ate pretty healthy because usually I don't eat fast food or junk food. I cook my meals from scratch every day. I don't drink sugary sodas and I have never had a big sweet tooth. But after tracking my food just for 2 weeks, I realized that my diet was far from balanced and healthy. So the number one, and I think the most important thing, I realized that I wasn't getting enough protein, because most of the time I was eating twice a day, a late breakfast slash lunch and then a big dinner, but it's really hard to get enough of nutrients when you eat only twice a day. So I started to have 3 meals a day and I made sure to include a good source of protein with every meal. If you're wondering how much protein you should get, it's minimum 0.8 grams per kilogram of your body weight, but I personally aimed for 1 gram per kilogram. If I didn't hit that amount by the end of the day, I always had some good quality Greek yogurt or cottage cheese in my fridge, so I could have a light late night snack to make up for it, because protein is crucial for overall health, but especially if you are trying to get pregnant. But I also know some people take it to the extreme and start consuming too much, which is also not a good idea. Remember, everything should be in moderation because excess protein isn't used efficiently by the body and can put extra strain on your bones, kidneys and liver, so please don't overdo it. And a quick note about protein shakes, because I know it can be very tempting to whip up a tasty shake and think you have met your protein needs. But first of all, most of these shakes contain a lot of sugar. But secondly, they just can't replace a proper meal because they lack the variety of all the nutrients, minerals, vitamins, and fiber that whole foods have. So consider protein shakes as your last resort, something to have only if you really can't get enough protein from whole foods that day. And focus on getting your protein from real sources like lean meat, fish, dairy, eggs, legumes, nuts, and seeds. Alright, the second big discovery from tracking my food was that my diet was seriously lacking in fiber. I always thought I was eating enough of vegetables, but when I saw the numbers, I was shocked. I was way under consuming it. And not only that, but I also wasn't getting enough variety of fiber, which is super important too, because you need fiber from different sources, like different vegetables, not only tomato, cucumber, and lettuce, from variety of fruits and whole grains. Just do a quick search by yourself and you will see how crucial fiber is, especially when you're trying to get pregnant. It helps regulate hormone balance, stabilizes blood sugar, reduce inflammation, support the immune system. So what did I do? I made sure to add enough vegetables, fruits, berries, and other good sources of fiber to every meal. And honestly, it was a game changer for me. My digestion improved almost instantly, and overall, I started feeling much more energized. And just like with protein, remember, supplements will not replace real food. Don't try to cut corners by thinking you can take a pill and call it a day, because whole foods provide so much more than just fiber, like again, essential vitamins, minerals, antioxidants that your body needs. So if you are not already paying attention to your fiber intake, I highly recommend for tracking it for a bit, because you might just be as surprised as I was. Trust me, even small changes like adding variety to your diet can make a big difference. The third eye-opening thing was how much fat I was actually consuming. No wonder I started gaining weight, because when you start paying attention to how much fat is in everything, it's shocking. And it's not like I was eating super greasy food like pork ribs or deep fried dishes, but these days fat is everywhere, even in foods you wouldn't expect. Especially when eating out, restaurant food is usually loaded with fat, because chefs know that the tastiest food is usually the fattiest food. I never really thought about how much oil I was adding to my salads, or how much mayo I was using, or how much heavy cream I was putting into my pasta. But when you check the serving sizes on the packages, like for example mayo or heavy cream, it's tiny. Just think about it. 1 tablespoon of mayo has 11 grams of fat, and 1 tablespoon of heavy cream has 6 grams of fat. And I never really used 1 tablespoon. I was pouring it into my favorite Alfredo pasta without even thinking about it. Same with my morning coffee. I loved making it with my favorite coconut milk from Trader Joe's, which has 5 grams of saturated fat per serving. Now, coconut milk isn't bad, but when you start adding up all the sources of fat you're consuming throughout the day, it really makes you think. And this even applies to healthy fats like nuts, cheese, or avocado. These are all great for you and your health, and you need them in your diet, but only in small amount. You can snack on nuts 3-4 times a day and not expect your fat intake to skyrocket. Now, with all that being said, I want to point out that switching to low-fat anything, and especially low-fat dairy, is not the solution, because full-fat dairy is actually what you need, because healthy fats are essential for hormone production and overall health, especially when trying to conceive. But I guarantee most of us are over consuming it without realizing it. Realizing how much I was unknowingly eating was a huge wake-up call for me. So if you are carrying extra weight or just want to feel better overall, start paying attention to your fat intake, because you might be surprised by what you find. Alright, next I just want to say a few words about carbs. I think in recent years they've been totally demonized thanks to all the keto and low carb diet trends. But honestly, do your own research. For me, I realized I was actually under consuming complex carbs. So I started to eating more good carbs like sweet potatoes, whole grains, legumes, whole wheat bread. And I truly believe that if you are trying to get pregnant, you need that healthy carbs. Of course, don't go overboard with refined carbs and sugar. Those are best kept to minimum. But don't be afraid of real nutrient-dense carbs. Your hormones will thank you. Next, I want to talk about something really important, using iodized salt. For years, I was all about those expensive and fancy Himalayan salts. I didn't even think twice about it. I just assumed the pricier the salt, the better it must be. I had a fancy salt grinder and felt like I was making a healthy choice. But here's the thing, iodine is crucial if you are pregnant or if you are trying to get pregnant, and a lot of people don't get enough of it. I know a lot of women taking iodine supplements, and if that's what your doctor recommends you to do, of course that's totally fine. But if it's just another supplement that you're eating on your own, why not taking it from your food? Switching back to basic iodized salt, it's such an easy fix. So I got rid of all of my fancy salts and now I only use the basic iodized salts. I really believe that it played a role in helping me to get pregnant. This is such a small change, but if you are trying to conceive, this is definitely something worth paying attention to. Alright, another important change I made was adding chicken liver to my diet. You've probably heard that iron is essential, especially when you're trying to conceive or during pregnancy. And while you can get iron from plant-based foods, our body just absorbs it much better from animal sources. So generally, red meat is the best source of iron. But eating too much red meat has been linked to a lot of health risks, including cancer. So it's recommended to limit red meat to a maximum 3 servings per week. And since I personally don't eat beef, I just don't like it and I just can't stand it, I needed another way to get enough of iron. So that's why I started to eat chicken liver at least once a week. And honestly, if you cook it right, it's actually really tasty. Plus, it's packed with other essential nutrients like vitamin B12 and folate. It's truly a superfood. So instead of relying on another supplement, unless of course your doctor told you to do so, try incorporating chicken liver into your diet. It's a simple and natural way to boost your iron level. Next, I will say just a few words about sugar. We all know that consuming too much sugar is not good. Especially in America, it feels like they add sugar to everything these days. And I know you're already aware of this, but I wanted to draw your attention to the drinks you consume. Because even on social media, it's so common to see people constantly sipping on something. Soda, sweet coffee drinks, juices, different flavored drinks, smoothies, cocktails. It's shocking how much sugar and calories people take in just because of this habit of always drinking something. So my point here is try to drink more water and cut back on sugary drinks. There is nothing beneficial in them, zero, just empty calories that add up without you even realizing it. Alright, the last thing I want to mention in this whole diet category is alcohol. Look, alcohol is a toxin, and unfortunately there is no truly safe amount that doesn't affect our health. Personally, I almost completely cut out alcohol. It wasn't a strict ban for me. I allowed myself an occasional drink, maybe once a month at a celebration or a night out. It was maybe a couple of glasses of wine or a light cocktail if I wanted to. However, I completely avoided hard liquor. Of course, having a drink once in a while is a personal choice, But if you are trying to conceive, I truly believe it's worth learning to enjoy life without alcohol. And I hope I don't even need to say much about smoking, because it's truly one of the worst things for your health and fertility. So if you or your partner smoke, you just need to quit as soon as possible. No compromises, no exceptions here, because any type of smoking is extremely harmful. Alright, the last thing I think is also important to talk about is exercise. Look, staying active is super important because movement is life. But if you are not already into strength training and you don't absolutely love it, I personally don't think you should start serious workouts when trying to get pregnant or just getting your health in order. Let me explain. Any strength training puts stress on the body. And when you are trying to balance your health and hormones, the last thing you need is extra stress. I used to go religiously to gym, lifting weights like 3-4 times a week, and I can't say that I was feeling great. First of all, I was constantly hungry because of intense training, and I needed a long time to recover after each session. And it felt more like I was punishing my body rather than taking care of it. Then COVID hit and I stopped going to the gym completely, but this time I did a lot of research and I decided to completely change my approach. So instead of exhausting myself, I focused on functional training without weights. If you don't know, it's a type of exercise focused on improving movements, helping with everyday activities. So every day I did breathing exercises, myofascial release, I did posture work, I did exercises for my pelvic floor, so my muscles didn't hurt. And the most important, I didn't feel drained after training. On the contrary, I truly enjoyed every workout and was feeling so light, energized, and amazing afterwards. I also started walking for about an hour almost every day, and again, no running, no pushing myself, just simple enjoyable walks. And honestly, I think this gentler approach to fitness made a huge difference in how I felt. And I truly believe now that this is the best way to start your fitness journey. There is no point in lifting weight or exhausting yourself with intense cardio workouts if your body doesn't even know how to move properly, if some of your muscles are tense or pinched, if you don't know how to breathe correctly during exercises, if you have a back or neck pain. These issues need to be addressed first, and once your body is balanced and functioning well, then you can gradually move on to weight training if you want, but this shouldn't be the first thing you jump into. In conclusion, I want to say that when I started implementing all these diet changes and simple exercises, first of all, I started to feel much better. I had more energy and lightness in my body. And despite I started to eat much more 3 times a day, all the vegetables, protein, good carbs, in just 2 months, I lost all the extra weight I had gained, about 6 or 7 pounds, just because my diet was balanced and mostly healthy food. And the last thing I want to say is that I know how emotionally hard this journey can be. Everyone's path to pregnancy is different. I can only speak for myself and what worked for me, and it might not work for you, but even so, I highly recommend you doing your own research and advocating for your health, because nobody knows your body better than you. And I truly believe that even small changes we make for our health can make a huge impact. So listen to your doctor, but also stand up for yourself. Sometimes you have to take it into your own hands. Alright guys, I wish you all the baby dust if you need it, and I hope these simple tips will help someone, and I will see you in the next video very soon. Bye bye.